Hello, everybody. Today I'm doing a live. I want to do a little bit of a guitar chord progression. Um, so let's get started, and I'll explain what I'm doing. Just check this out. Okay, so let me set my volume. So that was 4 chords, strumming each 4 times and then ending on the first chord, which was G. I'll do that one more time. All right, so that was guitar chord progression starting with the G. So let me start with the C chord. So the strumming patterns, they could be however you like. The idea is to be able to switch between chords. One more chord progression. This time I'm going to do D, or starting with D. I'll explain the following chords in a minute. All right, so I'm gonna repeat the progression, but this time I'm gonna strum a little bit different. So that was one chord, but I was doing finger picking with the long nails on the right hand. G. One more time, G. E minor, A minor, D7. I'll do a C in this fashion of finger picking. Remember, your strumming or your fret hand, your left hand usually, needs to have short nails. If you're gonna play guitar, you have to have short nails here. Long nails for the strumming if you want to use your fingernails, or you can use a guitar pick. I have long nails, so I'm gonna take advantage of that. All right, G. E minor, A minor, and D7. I'll end with G major. All right, without talking now, and I'll switch up the strumming pattern. See if it sounds different. All right, so you're probably wondering, like, yeah, how am I gonna learn all these things? Well, this is actually a little bit of an intermediate session, but if you're new, this is a good information because you'll eventually get to here. So what I was doing a pattern. I was doing one pattern, then another pattern, and another pattern. So basically 3 patterns. Here are my notes, and I'll explain all these little numbers on the top. So G is my number 1, E minor is my 6th minor, and A minor is my 2nd minor, and D7 is my 5th 7. And the ones that are on pencil, that's the pattern. The same follows here. So let me kind of break all this down. The easiest way is just to start with the basics, right? Like, so we have 8 notes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th note is the same as the first note. So if you notice on my C scale, there are no sharps. Everything is just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? So on my guitar chord progression for this, for following this scale, my C note, I was using a C chord. So watch this. So I'm going to talk about this middle part. Ignore this one and the bottom one of the C, the one that starts with the C, right? So this is my C chord, right? Right here, C chord, right? And then notice how it says 6 minor. So what I'll do is I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that A, I have to transfer it into an A minor chord, right? So I have C, A minor, right? And then it's my 2 minor, right? So that would be an A minor. I know this might, if you're new, this might sound like weird, but this is really for intermediate folks. But if you're new, I suggest you check it out because it'll help you eventually. So we got 1, 6 minor. So this A chord, we're going to transfer that into an A minor. And then we got 2 minor, but that would be a D minor. And we end with a 5th chord, 7. So with this, we make it into a G7. So that's not going to change for A. If you start with G, we're going to do the same thing. We go 1, 6, right, 2, and 5. We just change. We either add minor or 7. So I suggest, like, if you're learning, to take notes and do things like this because it will help you. Everything I was playing, it was this notes. Let me see. This is also the circle of fifths that I'm not going to explain today, but here's a more simplified thing of my chords, right? So you can see we got 1, 6, 2, and the 5th note we make it into a chord, a 7th chord. So in the case of C, right, and my 6th note would be a minor, and my 2nd note would be also a minor. I forgot to put the little M's over here, but anyways, this is C, A minor, D minor, and G7. Let me play this right here, okay? So bear with me. All right, so we're gonna start with the C. A minor. D minor. Let me start that again, folks. C, A minor, D minor, and G7. And we go back to C. A minor, D minor, G7, and we go back to the C. All right, the same chords, I'm going to strum them with my nails, like finger picking style, right? So we go G, okay, G right here, and then everything, and then A minor, and then D minor, G7, back to C, so yes, that is guitar chord progression right here. C, A minor, D minor, and G7. A lot of folks, when they come to the art class or the free music class, they just want to learn how to play the music. They don't necessarily care for this stuff, but if you're serious about music, taking notes and writing things down and actually visualizing how all this works will make it easier in the long term, and it will make you learn better. So this is the scales, and the scales give you the guitar chord progression. So take notes, you know. So that's my advice. Take notes. Practice a lot. So I'm gonna just practice those chords here so you guys can see. Now I'm gonna do the G, starting with the G. By the way, if you want to know how I'm strumming with my nails, I'm using my thumb for the bass or the top string. In this case is my G. That's your first note of the chord. And then the last three strings, I'm gonna use the last three fingers. So, okay, so I'm gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna bring it back. So the name of the number of the strings, they go from the bottom to the top as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then I would hit string number 6 with my pinky, number 1, number 2 with my middle finger, number 3 with my index. All right. Actually, I'll just do it like this so you can see. All right. So you do thumb, index, middle, and you can use a pinky or the ring finger, either or. But you need 3 fingers. I'm gonna use these 3 fingers for the last 3 strings. And then the thumb. So like the pinky, I'm not gonna use it. So you do thumb. Right? So you go. Right? And then you go to string 2 and 3. One more time. Notice how I'm holding the G chord. This can work with any chord, by the way, so it doesn't really matter. You can do the C. If you do the C, then instead of the 5th, you'll do instead of the 6th, you'll do the 5th. Why? Because this is my C note, and this is the one that I'm pressing down. So I have C, and then bring it back. So they ring off like individual strings. I like to do this right here, watch. Where I do every single little string, and then everything together. All right, then you go to the next chord. Switch chords. Now on this chord, which is D minor, I'm using the open D. Actually, let's see. E8, yeah. So I'm using the open D right here. So in essence, I'm just using the last 4 strings. One more time. The cool thing about using the finger picking style is that you'll immediately know that if you are muting a string by accident or you're holding your chord correctly on the fretboard, you will know because you're strumming each individual string. So that's the good thing about that. So it's good for practicing how to make sure you're holding the right chord. Okay, well, this is a good example. Hear this. It doesn't sound clear, right? What that's telling me is that somehow I'm not holding that particular string correct over here on the fretboard. So I have to readjust my finger position. That's better, right? So that's why I like to practice with finger picking style, because you'll immediately know if you're not pressing correctly over here. At least for the ones you press in. The ones that are open, they're gonna be fine as long as they're not being obstructed. So that was G. That was G, E minor, A minor, D7. Right? The next chord progression is C, A minor, D minor, G7. So let's do that. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the little video. It's a little live video. It's not edited, so it may not be, you know, visually or. But I just want to show you that, you know, that you have to practice your chords, and there is a pattern for everything. There's a pattern. This might look like it's all crazy, but if you break it down, you go to the basics. You have the pattern, which is hold, hold, half, half. Hold, half, and you end up back with the 8. These are the scales, but the scales are also a good way to help you find your guitar chord progression, right? Which is this pattern right here: 1, 6, 2, and the 5th, which you make it into a 5, 7. So this is minor. These 2 are minors. I forgot to put the little M here, but what matters is this: C, A minor, D minor, G7. The same pattern of 1, 6, 2, and 5. And those numbers are found in in the scales, right? The easiest scale is C because there's no sharps or nothing like that, right? So that's a good way to practice. So practice this scale right here, and also this guitar chord progression. Now I'm not gonna go into how to make a chord like an A minor, D minor. You can look those up. I have videos about that. So hopefully you find this inspiring. Let me do that C chord progression. So we have C, A minor, D minor, G7, back to C major. All right. Now, if you want to do the scales, you can also do that. So we have G, A, B, and C right here. Watch this. Okay, so that was not perfect, but let me show you what that is. That is the individual notes of the C scale, right? You just start with the C, okay? If you don't know off the back, you just know that this is open E, F, G, A, B, and C, right? And this is called the first pattern of the major scale, right? So G, A, B, C, excuse me, that was, let me do that again. F, G, A, B, C, right here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you bring it back in reverse. So C, excuse me, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So those are the individual notes. You can also do them here. Right? So we have A, B, C right here. C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G. Anyways, those the scales, the major scales. This is how you normally would start G with the G. So all this builds, it builds up on the chords, on the scales, on the individual notes. You can also do it over here, the same scale. All right, so it wasn't perfect, but so we got G, anyway, so that's just, you know, the scales. But what I was really trying to record was the guitar chord progression, 4 chords, right? You start with C, A minor, D minor, G7, back to C. And the way you strum them, it's up to you. It's up to you. You can do 4. You can do 1. You can finger pick. That's up to you. All right. So if I start with the G, E minor, A minor, D7, back to G. Okay, so if I start with D, D, B minor, E minor, A7, and back to D. So those are 3 guitar chord progression patterns that I was talking about. One more time. Let me do the C. I'll strum 4 times each chord, and I'll call them out. So we got C, A minor, D minor, G7, back to C, okay, so that was guitar chord progression starting with the C. Now I'm going to do starting with the G, and I'm going to call out the chords. So this is G, and I'm going to strum 4 times each chord. So this is G, E minor, A minor, D7, back to G. And the last guitar chord progression is starting with the D. And I'm going to do 4. B minor, E minor, A minor, back to D. Let me do this one again. So we got D, B minor, E minor, and A minor, and back to D. All right, let me double check that I got that right. Actually, let me do that pattern again. Because I skipped the A7, I did an A minor instead of an A7. So basically I messed up on the A chord. So that's why we practice, right? So we have, so I was doing this chord instead of this one. So you see, you hear the difference. Okay, let me try again. So D 4 times, B minor 4 times, E minor 4 times, and A7 4 times. So with this type of a guitar chord progression, the 4th chord that you do, the 4th in you know the sequence that you're doing, that's always going to be a 7th chord. So you can see the notes that I showed you earlier. But let's get started. D major, 4, B minor, E minor, A7. And you end up back on the one you started, which is D. All right, so let me just show you what that looks like. This one on the bottom one, D, B minor, E minor, and A7. Notice how the very last chord for each pattern is always a 7, right? And then the two in the middle are minors. And right up here it says 1, 6, 2, and 5. And those are the chords from the notes from the scale. So if you have the scale, this will help you. But this works out. So let's do that. Do that one more time. And I'm just gonna freestyle like the number of strums. That was the first pattern. Or that was the G, excuse me. The guitar chord progression starting with the G. This one starting with the C. All right, that didn't sound clean, so I have to do that again. But that's C. D minor. All right. That's it, folks. Just trying to encourage you to practice. Check out my videos. They're at the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach Facebook page where it says videos. There are dozens of videos for music practice and also art classes. Take care and practice your music.